Sacred Heart, a team you're going to need to know about here in March. And their head coach, Jessica Mannetti, is here to help you get acquainted. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win. Good!
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, thanking you for making us your first listen every day. You can subscribe here on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're listening. Women's basketball 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, past, present, and future. Saturdays, WNBA draft show. And of course, it's not just me, it's the entire team over at thenexthoops.com bringing you, we have over 100 reported pieces every single month. We're going to blast through that by the middle of the month in March alone. Jess, I've got somebody out there with you, the great Alex Simon, who's going to be writing about Sacred Heart. I had the pleasure of seeing your team play on Sunday. So welcome, welcome, welcome. What's been the most exciting part of this whirlwind 16 seed in the NCAA tournament?
It's been a dream. We had a brand new team this year. We didn't know what to expect. We got picked preseason 6th. We had a really tough non-conference stretch, didn't come into conference with a lot of wins. And to be able to have a turnaround like this with a lot of freshmen, transfers, new players that didn't have a ton of playing experience, to have this moment, it's everything you dream about from when you're a little girl and you watch it for the first time and say, oh my gosh, that could be me one day. Like, here it is, we're here.
I mean, you scheduled tough. You scheduled your team to get them ready. I mean, you went to Fairfield, a really good team. Carly's got them playing so well. Iona's in the tournament. Monmouth is in the tournament. Right away, giving your team a test. I mean, was part of that just you getting a sense of who you had as a team?
Yeah, we tried to have a really diverse non-conference schedule. Only because we wanted to have these younger kids who we knew we would probably have to play a lot of minutes prepared for the different types of collegiate actions they would see, right? Like, there's such a difference in college. There's the physical strength and speed, but then there's that IQ piece where you got to know how to defend things and the offenses teams run and how we guard ball screens and just how to find a way sometimes to figure out how to win. And I think the diversity of our non-conference, as hard as it was to experience, provided such value for us. And our staff and I were joking. I was like, man, we scheduled unbelievable teams. And you didn't know how good some teams were going to be, right? Like Iona, like you said, Monmouth winning the league. We actually had Vermont scheduled too. And we had to cancel that game because of some team illness down the stretch. We had some Big East teams in Butler and Providence that were very, very good. We had Army, who was tearing it up in the Patriot League. Fairfield, obviously a great team in the MAC. So I think we really did challenge ourselves. We didn't plan it that way, but that's just how it kind of shook out. And we learned a lot. And I think we took a lot of those really valuable lessons into how we were able to turn it around. So, gosh, it seems like it was forever ago, but it was a tough little stretch to go through.
For sure. And it gets you into the conference schedule. And you guys were, it was fascinating all afternoon. All season, just to see that you're right there hanging tough with FDU, And so for those who don't know, Sacred Heart had to beat Fairleigh Dickinson for the third time in order to make it to the tournament. You had to do it on the road. I was in that arena. I was able to see that at Hackensack, that place was packed. That place was loud. And to beat any team 3 times is extraordinarily difficult. For you guys to do it the way you did, I thought was really striking. So I just want to point out a couple of things before we get into some of the particulars, some of the individual stars, and obviously a star among stars in Ny'Ceara Pryor, who we had the chance to chat about on Sunday. But FDU was a top 10 in the country defense. You guys are no slouch at all, 29th by points per possession. But you scored 71, 70, and 72 on FDU. how do you go about scheming like that? And especially like Coach Ann is so capable of making those types of changes. What was that chess match like?
Yeah, FDU is so tough. They are such a tough opponent, and Ange does a tremendous job with her defensive pride that her team takes. And I'll tell you, those 20 plus games that they won were all defensive effort. And I think for us, there are a couple advantages that we had. One, when you really know your opponent, right? Like in league, we know our opponents. We know the ins, the outs, the how to exploit weaknesses, how to maximize strength. So I think our ability to really know our opponent really helped. I know our team was very excited to play them. They were hyped. We had come in having won. We had just the first time we played them, we lost to Merrimack at home, and we were pissed, really mad. And I always say, had we not lost to Merrimack, I don't think we would have won that FDU game, that next FDU game. So I'm almost thankful for that lesson that we had to take.
Yeah.
From Merrimack to really get our minds focused and back on track. And we only had a 1-day turnaround, so I think that was beneficial too.
Mhm.
And that third piece was, for us, some teams are better matchups than others, right? I think that some teams that we play really challenge us in a lot of different ways with the way they match up with us, whether it's athletically or from a defensive game plan standpoint. And with FDU, I think our team felt confident that our matchup was going to be hard for them, just in how some of our game plan preparation was and just player for player, how we knew our opponent. So I think it's always going to be a battle moving forward against FDU. They're a tremendous team. They're very well coached. And defensively, you have to find a way to score. You do. And you have to have shooters hit shots against them because they are number one in 3-point field goal percentage defense in the country.
Yeah.
You have to be able to get paint touches and make reads against a defense that will completely collapse and disrupt you. So I was just really proud of the way our players executed offensively. I think we did a lot of great things, and we got to the free throw line. I think the free throw line sometimes is the big game changer for us too.
The fact that you were able to just go through these quick turnarounds, I'm curious in two ways, right? Number one, you went out, you play on the 6th against LIU, you play on the 9th against Merrimack, on the 12th on Sunday against FDU. Does being in that rhythm make it a little easier for what's coming? Because, typically speaking, you make it to the NCAA tournament, you have almost a full week to prepare, but not this time around when you've got Southern coming up on Wednesday night.
I think the rhythm is really good. I think when you have too much time to think, if you're on fire, it cools you off,
Mhm.
and for us being able to, we got into this really great rhythm of, hey, play. Next day was film and recovery. Day after was practice. Let's get after it and prepare. Boom, game day the next day. Again, repeat. And it's what we've been doing for the last 12 days. But I think they like the rhythm. I think they know we're going to really take care of them physically after they go through that war the day after by just being really conservative with how we approach that day of practice and preparation. And I think they loved the rhythm of being together and having that experience together. Like our whole school was on spring break last week. So they had no distractions. It was almost a blessing. Like,
Yeah.
as much as our fans are truly our sixth man, and they were in that big championship game, as you saw,
Mhm.
I think having that really intimate, really close-knit opportunity to just think about each other and think about the game and not be distracted with college life was
Mhm.
really helpful for our rhythm too. So they believed, I think, down the stretch, especially like coming into this playoff atmosphere, like their mindset, they refused to lose. Like I think everybody but me kind of knew we were going to win. I was very nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, can we put 40 minutes together for 3 nights? Are we going to be, as a head coach, you're always thinking about all this stuff you see in March. You're getting all this hype from the TV and the pressure and these young kids. And I mean, my coaches knew. They were like, Coach, we're going to win. I was like, I don't stop talking about it. I don't want to talk about one quarter at a time. And but the kids knew. I think they really knew they were in a position to be great, and they really were when their name was called.
They really were. And I want to, you mentioned exactly when you saw on Sunday that you were willing to acknowledge it to yourself that
Yeah.
it finally happening. I want to talk about that in a moment. First, just want to let the folks at home know about Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. Is an opportunity if you ever dreamed of becoming an NBA GM and managing your basketball franchise. Now there is a game that is definitely for you. You can go hire the right coaches and assistants, trade and train players, make draft picks, navigate your franchise through free agency and the draft, all the ups and downs of a season, all this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. So Locked On listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON, in the game store. Make sure to check it out. Just download the game at probasketballgm.com, scan the code or look it up in the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. And of course, essentially you can pretend you are Jessica Mannetti for a little bit, who spent a little time in basketball ops with the New York Knicks, as a matter of fact.
I did.
So I mean, man, you've done so much. We're not even going to get to it in a single podcast, which I'm excited to have you back on. But you talked about the fact that it wasn't until 13 seconds left up 10 or 10 seconds left up 13 where you said, all right, I'm finally acknowledging to myself that this is happening.
I was at 13. I think it was 13.7 seconds. We were on the free throw line.
Yeah.
Amelia hit her first shot. I think we go up 11. And in my brain, number crunching, I always had the Iowa, I think it was Michigan game, the game that Iowa just won, where they came back in a minute and 36 seconds and hit like 8 threes. And so I'm like, oh my God. And FCU is a 3-point shooting team and they run and gun. And when there's no timeouts for us to really talk about how to prepare for D, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was at 13.7 seconds. I looked up at the clock and I was like, you know what, numerically without timeouts, this is actually impossible. Like, oh my God, we're going to win. And I looked at Coach Candace Leatherwood on the bench. She's my former point guard at Sacred Heart, came back as an alumni to coach here in her second year. And I looked at her and she looked at me and we just kind of like shared this moment. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is going to happen. Holy crap. And then it did. And I can't tell you what happened from that point forward. Like the second that clock hit, it was like, I went back and rewatched it that night. I was like, I just have to go see everything again. Like I just can't believe it, but it was great.
It was pandemonium there. Like you said, Sacred Heart, the fans traveled really well. The band is elite. And the band came along for the ride. But yeah, it was, I went with my daughter who you met, and just the level of excitement that she was able to witness, to see what that moment is like, was why I wanted her to come. I said, one way or the other, a champion's going to be crowned. And I want you to see what that looks like, as a young basketball player who's 9 years old herself. But it's also worth noting, and I know we talked about this post game, but this is a long time in coming. This was, you walked into that post game and, a net around your neck, just finally getting that experience. And you've had a lot of success there, and you've taken that team to 3 WNITs, but to get over that final hump and get to this, have you had an opportunity to process kind of that feeling, or is it so busy right now that you can't even kind of take that step back?
Yes, I want to say I have taken a moment just to let it sink in. And I told my team today, I think it was really today in film, I made everybody take a deep breath. My assistant was like, make sure they are like in this moment and with us to know, like, it's been a whirlwind, but like, guys, we're here. Yeah. I think the moment I had was when I shared with them, this is the first playoff I've ever won as a basketball coach. Like, I've coached a lot of teams. We've won regular season championships in basketball, but I've never had the opportunity to be part of a conference or playoff championship. So to be able to share that with this group at 43 years old, having coached since I was 23 when I got a head coaching job at Greens Farms Academy in Connecticut, like, not to date myself, but this is 20 years in the making. Like, having and my players from Greens Farms Academy and my old school shouted us out on Twitter. Like
Awesome.
the journey, the 5-star family that I started with 5-star basketball, and the high schools that I coached, and the collegiate staffs I've been a part of at Hofstra, and then to come here and this is home. Like, I think one of the most special things about this championship is, like, my mother comes on the bus with us to road trips, like my family, I look up and my entire family is in all the stands. My aunts, uncles, my high school basketball coach, my high school volleyball coach, they're here supporting us. So there's a really strong, heartfelt tie to the community here, being able to have an opportunity to coach at SHU. And my athletic director that had hired me, Bobby Valentine, hometown hero here, I will forever be grateful to for sticking with us for 10 years and allowing us to build the program back to where it was. And Judy Ann Riccio now obviously is amazing. She is so empowering as one of the first female athletic directors ever to be hired at Sacred Heart, and so supportive. So it really means so much more than just a trophy. And to be able to think about that, like you get emotional about it. You dream of this, and you think to yourself, even if this happened, this is the only time in your life this happens, you're never going to forget these moments.
No doubt. And again, you've shouted out, you are, of course, pride of New Canaan, Bobby from Stamford, but very much a Connecticut product in so many different ways, this entire experience right up through the family. And by the way, 43 is incredibly young. I say that as a 40-year-old myself.
There you go.
We are both just beginning. But
Yeah.
the specifics of the moment that you had with your mom, and this is what I wanted to ask you since Sunday. You walked in and you said, I had asked my mom, does the net go with my outfit? And she said it goes great with this dress.
Yeah.
But take me through the rest of that conversation, what that must have been like to be able to talk to your mom in the moments following this win.
Oh, it was amazing. My mom's been there since day one. So my dad passed away in May before I got this job. And I was interviewed for this position through June, right around Father's Day. I got the job offered to me by Bobby and started July 1st. And in a very interesting twist of divine intervention, right?
Yeah.
I got to move home and be in a place where our family needed each other the most, and transition into this new role and try to figure it out. But my mother and I have been through it since day one. I also have two younger sisters, and they've just been an unbelievable support system. Like they've made so many sacrifices for me. They've made excuses for me. Oh, she can't come to our family event because she's doing this. She's busy. She's working so hard. And whenever we go through tough times, they're always so positive and supportive. So my family has meant so much to me. And to be able to share this moment with my mom, 10 years in the making, having gone through all of it, it was so emotional. She is the most amazing woman. She didn't really know much about basketball, like never played it, but has been an avid fan her whole life.
Yeah.
And for her to be able to just share this moment as a mom and as kind of the matriarch of our family, to just be so proud and so emotional, and so she's just so happy. Like, it makes me proud that she's proud. And I know that she's been smiling ear to ear ever since it happened, and, just can't stop talking about it. So she's from Stamford too. So I think that pride of the hometown too is really special for us.
It helps to have moms like that. I have myself. Well, I want to talk about logistically both your preparation and also about, of course, the the tickets and everything that you've had to figure out for friends and family along the way. Before we get to that, do want to talk about our sponsor, who is FanDuel. And the thing about FanDuel is we are now about halfway through the NBA season, and it's perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. You download the FanDuel Sportsbook app It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. They have all these bets. They have, the point spread, money line, player points, rebounds, and assists for player props. There's even a 2x3, 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes. And FanDuel lets you combine your bets for an even bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And so it's a team effort. There's no question about it to get here. But the young woman you talked about as a program changer when we spoke on Sunday, the young woman who took over the game after winning Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year in the Northeast Conference. And she made some shots down the stretch. I went back to look. I watched the game when we got home. It was so much fun and so exciting. And she made these shots nobody should be able to make. And was just not going to be denied. And that is listed at 5'3", maybe not at 5'3", Ny'Ceara Pryor. Take me through your first time seeing her play and what the recruiting process was like there.
Oh my God, she's so amazing, isn't she? She is so special. My assistant coach, Ross James, found her on the Under Armour circuit 2 summers ago in July. And he texted me and said, Manette, you got to come over here and see this kid. And we were looking for a point guard at the time. Our point guard had just transferred. Our starting point guard had just transferred. And we were kind of in a scramble to get a player in and signed. And I watched her and I was like, wow, for this little thing, she's a player, right? And I watched her a little bit more. And initially, ask any coach in America, initially you're like, that size might be an issue, right? Like you think, hey, that size, she's going to be a little undersized. You think they're going to exploit mismatches, just ways that they could use her size to their advantage. And I kept watching her play and I was like, you know what? This kid's never going to let anybody beat her. Like her level of competition is so high. She's competitive, driven, relentless. I've never met somebody that refuses to lose more than her. It's absolutely incredible. So we started the process with her. She's a Baltimore native. She went to Western High School, very, very good all-girls school in Baltimore, won them a state championship, actually scored 41 points in her state championship game as a senior. And she came up to SHU on a visit and she just loved it. I think she felt like family here. And she's very close to her family. She's very, very bright, wants to be a teacher one day. And so she excels in so many areas of her life, in the classroom, on the court, and as a leader. I named her when she decided to come to Sacred Heart and she arrived on campus. She said to me, Coach, I really hope I can get some minutes this year. Yeah, I think you have.
I guess she's gotten those minutes.
Yeah. So she came in as a freshman, very humble, just trying to fight for minutes. And then by the 5th game, I named her captain of our program. And she's just run with it. And I mean, you watch her down the stretch, you're seeing shots that she's made in the championship game. I've watched those shots all year. I mean, every award that she gets is earned. She does all those things. And she does it fearlessly. When players, there are 2 kinds of players. There are players in moments of adversity that will shut down or that will wake up. And she is the alarm clock. She is the alarm clock that's waking up. She never shuts down. Somebody asked me, hey, in late game situations, do you have any special plays? Do you want to talk about those? I said, yeah, we're going to get the ball in and give it to Nye, and we're going to tell everybody else to just clear out. That's my game plan. We're going to rock with this kid. She is amazing. So she's a proven winner. And we knew it in the process that she was special. And we put her in an environment here in a system offensively that she thrives in a defensive system that she can have so much freedom to do what she does. And then in a leadership position where she can drive the winning. And there it is right there.
I mean, and that's what you did. It was 8 minutes left. You guys were down 54-51. And you put it in her hands. Yeah. She took over, but she took over both ends. I mentioned it, and this can't go unmentioned. her steal percentage, forgive my like nerdiness about this, but like you dig deep into her numbers, like her steal percentage at 5.6% as a freshman. That's not just quickness. That's not just athleticism. You have to know exactly where the ball is going to be and anticipate it. And we talked about this a little bit on Sunday too, right? Like this is like a baseline. You think of a freshman year as like what you're building from. And yeah, you talked about getting her in the gym to be shooting that three. And maybe that's the only thing that jumps off the stat line where you say that needs to improve, because everything else, she's getting to the basket all the time and she's super efficient when she gets there.
Oh, it's her numbers are off the charts. And this is, if you think about this as the baseline, I mean, the sky is absolutely the limit with her. She is like, she's even talking about like ways she wants to keep developing her game. She's never going to be done trying to fine tune and perfect what she's doing. So
it boggles the mind. Again, just like I have to point it out. She shot 62.7% at the rim this year. 36% of her attempts were there. And at 62.7%, that is impressive for any point guard. It is particularly so for a freshman. It is exponentially so for someone at her size. Just the way you described her as a program changer. There's just no question about it. All right. Well, before we go, because I want to make sure we talk about this too, just your week. Take me through the week. You finish up. I see you Sunday. You come out of there. I know by Monday you're flying. What has this been like? What have you been doing?
Oh my God.
Get video working.
I don't even know what we've been doing. We won the championship on Sunday. We got on the bus. We came home, came back to Shoe around 5 to this great, like big greeting of celebration.
I love it.
Came back to the Pitt Center around 7, ate some great food, watched the selection show, got our name called to come to California. 12 hours later, we're on a plane to California.
California and early because of the playing game. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we watched some film before we left for California. We got on the plane, tried to get some rest, landed last night, ate some dinner, went to bed, woke up early this morning, got our workout and recovery in, ate breakfast, watched film, did some treatment. I'm actually holding up the bus. We're leaving in about 2 minutes to go to practice at the arena, do all the press conference stuff and the media. And then we're going to come back, have a really nice dinner tonight. We're going to treat the team to a great dinner. Our vice president, Jim Barquiniero, loves to treat our student athletes to a great dinner when they win great championships. So we are very thankful to him. And then we're going to have the lights on tomorrow and clock ticking and see if we can pull this win, first round win, continue to make history with the program and get on to Stanford on Friday.
Well, go enjoy. We're not holding up the bus anymore. You say hello to our Alex Simon when you get to the press conference. He'll be there. Okay. Make sure everybody among the listeners is watching tomorrow, or it's actually going to be tonight. We're going to post this tomorrow. Southern versus Sacred Heart. Do not miss it. Jess Mannetti, all the best. Till tomorrow, I'm Howard Megdal, wishing you a wonderful March.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.